Hey there. So if you're in growing zones 3, 4, 5, and you're thinking that it's time to get your winter sowing done, get your jugs ready and out into the cold, I just want to let you know that it's not too late. There's lots of time. In fact, I'm not going to start planting my jugs up until mid to late February. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you what I'm going to be planting up in my winter sowing jugs and why I am going to wait until later into February. So if this is your first time learning about winter sowing, what that method is the process of planting up seeds in soil in containers such as this milk jug, setting them outside in the freezing cold and leaving them there until the conditions are right, spring comes and the seeds start to germinate. So snow, freezing temperatures, ice is all part of the process that makes these a wonderful, tough seedling that you can plant out in your garden. I love winter sowing because it is so simple. It's kind of like a set it and forget it method. Once you plant up your seeds and tape the jug shut, label it properly, put it out into an area where it's out of the wind, it gets the sun, it gets the rain, the snow, all the precipitation it needs. It does that stratification process that is what makes this a great thing for perennials. And in the spring, when the time is right, these seeds know when to germinate. You don't have to do anything other than make sure they don't get blown away. Watch to make sure that they don't dry out in the spring. But what you get is some really tough plants that harden off naturally, that you didn't have to baby under grow lights, worry about watering and fertilizing it. So that's why this is a really good method for beginners. Maybe you don't have the space in your basement or garage to do a lot of seed starting, but you want to get some of those perennials or cold hardy plants going somewhere easily that you can enjoy in your garden later. So this is a great method for cold climate gardeners because it mimics what seeds would naturally go through outdoors in the cold, and that is called stratification. So the simple definition of stratification is the freezing and thawing of the, that happens around the seeds when they're in the soil, in your garden, in the forest. And that freezing and thawing process naturally kind of wears away the seed coating, getting them ready for germination once spring hits. So if you're one who wants to get perennials going indoors, normally you have to do that stratification process by taking seeds and putting them in the refrigerator for like 30 days to kind of mimic that process. But you don't have to worry about doing that when you're doing winter sowing because it naturally happens inside the container. So I've been doing this for about 4 or 5 years now. And the first couple years that I winter sowed, I started in January because usually, you're getting that itch to get growing. It's super cold outside. It's too early to start some of your indoor starts. So winter sowing was kind of a great way to start gardening, in the middle of winter. And that's something that I really enjoy sharing on my channel and in my community is how you can garden 12 months of the year. And if you want to check out my 12-month gardening planner, I have the link in the description box below. It's a free download that I put together that just shows how you can garden 12 months of the year, different ideas of things you can do and grow any month of the year, just to keep that green thumb going. So check that out in the link in the description box below. So one of the things I learned by doing this several years is that starting these early in January sometimes doesn't turn out as well. I found that even though they need that stratification uh, period to go through, a lot of these seeds do really well if you kind of hold off maybe till end of February, early March, because here in these colder growing zones, we still have, several weeks of freezing cold temperatures. So it still will get that stratification process that it needs. I just found that waiting a little bit later, I have better success with the germination and, strong, healthy plants. So this year I'm going to restrain myself. It's really hard when I got this beautiful soil here. I got the seeds in front of me and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll just toss them in and get them outside. But I'm going to really test this theory of waiting and I'm going to wait till about mid-February before I get all my jugs set up and put outside. But in this video, I'm going to go through all the things that I will be planting so that you can get ready. We'll go through how to put together one of these containers and go through kind of different ones that you can use. So again, the milk jug seems to be the popular one. It makes, a great greenhouse. It's perfect size. You end up with about 3 or 4 inches of soil depth to plant into. And you always want to make sure that you are poking holes in the bottom with a drill or a sharp pair of scissors. These milk jugs are super easy to cut. So basically you're just cutting it open, creating a hinge, and then you're going to be taping it shut with tape. Duct tape is something that you'll normally see people suggest. Again, that's something that I learned in the spring. When it comes time to remove that duct tape, it's really hard to get off. It gets kind of gummy and it doesn't come off as easily. But tuck tape, if you ever can find this, it's usually a red color. I've seen it a blue color. Tuck tape works really good. It seals nicely. It's easy to work with. And in the spring, it's very easy to remove off the jug. So that is something that I would suggest you use instead of the duct tape. Different containers that you can find, as long as it's got a clear, opaque type container that the light can get through and that you can cut to create that, hinged lid. And also you always want to make sure you put the drainage holes in the bottom so that any moisture that comes in drains through. And you always remove the lid off the top so that it can let in the rain and the snow. Something small like this might not work. What I do, if I do have a small container like this, something that I don't want a whole bunch of, such as dill. For me, I'm happy with, 2 or 3 dill plants. Parsley is something that I don't grow a lot of, but it depends. If you're just looking to get a few plants going, a small pop bottle like this would work as well. Just cut it about halfway up. And again, you can use different colored pop bottles like this. Water jugs like this work really well too. They're easy to cut. You got lots of depth here so that you can get that, 3, 4, 5 inches of soil so that you got lots of room for root growth. So I talked about perennials being the ideal type seeds for this method because of that cold period that they need to go through in this winter. If they were falling off of your plants naturally, they would fall into the soil, get covered with snow, and go through that freeze thaw stage. So this is a great thing for perennials. And what I like to do is my perennial flowers, they do really well. This year I'm going to be doing perennials such as lupins, sedum, delphinium. So anything that says perennial when you're buying your seeds, those will do well in these methods as far as flowers. Other cool tolerant plants such as onions, your brassicas, if you want to be doing cabbages, broccoli, cauliflower, those will do good. And again, waiting until end of February, early March, those have a better chance of sprouting. And with onions, I do lots of green onions. You can never have enough onions, but a whole batch of green onions, the Walla Walla, something that you can pull out and transplant in the spring. Onions do well. All sorts of herbs. I have great success with the parsley, the dill. I do things like calendula, chamomile, mint. Those all do really well. And again, you're saving all the space of, your indoor starts where, if you're a person who likes to start a lot of tomatoes and peppers and eggplants and things that don't do well in this method, that they need that babying and they need the lights and all that space. This is a great way to get a whole bunch of stuff going get it outside, and you don't have to worry about it till spring. So make sure when you're putting these outside as well, like I said, you don't want them somewhere where they're going to get blown away. So, if you have an area in your garden space, like maybe a raised garden bed where you can put them in there, kind of secure them in the snow. It's okay if it snows on them and they get buried in snow, that's fine. Just as long as wind doesn't get to them. If you have pets, maybe a dog that likes to come and grab your jugs, just make sure you put them somewhere out of wind and protected. I use a lot of times my garden wagon, which is a big mesh wagon. It's got the sides to it, set all my jugs in there, and that way they are secure. And I keep them in the sunlight. Don't put them under any eaves around your garage, around your house or garden shed, because you want to make sure any rain or moisture that's coming in naturally gets into your containers. So make sure that you're out in the sun, wind protected, and somewhere where they can get that precipitation. So once I get a bunch of these planted mid-February and out into my garden space or wherever I'm going to tuck them away, I will continue to plant more later into March, early April, and those would be types of things that are more tender and not as cool tolerant, such as all these annual flowers like marigolds and cosmos, zinnias. Again, things that you would be starting about 4 to 6 weeks before your last frost indoors that take up a lot of space. You can just, put up a container of flowers in here, put them out. The nights will still be cold, but these jugs act as mini greenhouses, so they keep them insulated and warm. You can even throw a blanket over them if it's, extra cold nights, but once they start germinating. But again, these will work really well for those more tender type annuals if you wait, until you're getting to that 4 to 6 weeks before your last frost date. So for today, I just want to let you know it's not too late. It's a great time to start planning. Get these jugs, collect them from friends and family, start cutting them up, drilling those holes in them, getting them ready, and planning out your perennials that you're going to plant up first. Plan out any annuals, the more tender type things that you want to start in here later in the spring, and you are going to be ready for winter sowing. So let me know if you've done winter sowing before. Have you had success if you waited a little bit longer? Maybe planting in January in these jugs. If you're in a little bit warmer zone than I am, I'm in growing zone 3. It is the end of January and it is so cold outside right now. So if you're in those higher growing zones, 5, 6, 7, where the cold temperatures aren't quite as extreme, starting now could work for you. I would like to hear in the comments what your experience has been with winter sowing. And if you're a beginner, this is a great way to get started. You are thinking about seed starting, but you don't want to invest in lights and make space, in your house and your window to get a lot of things growing. This is a great way to start out gardening. I highly recommend it to beginners as well. And I have some free gardening guides that you can download that will help you get growing all year round into hydroponics, some information on seed starting and how you can find something to do 12 months of the year. So click on that link in the description box below to get those downloads. So in the coming weeks, when the time is right, I will be planting up my winter sowing jugs. I will make a follow-up video so that you can follow along and see how my winter sowing is going. I hope that you will try this method if you haven't already done so. I will be doing all sorts of seed starting videos. I'm also doing a whole series on the seedling snail method, which is a great indoor seed starting method that uses less space, less time, less money. I'm all about saving money. If you are a person that used to buy a lot of your seedlings from a greenhouse or from the big box stores, I think you will find that the prices are really going up. And if you can start as many things yourself as possible in the space that you have and for the size of the garden that you want to grow, then I hope I can help you with that. So please subscribe to the channel and we will see you on the next video.